Hi, BrenTech here, where tech is made simple. So Microsoft is busy finalizing our next optional bug fix C release update for Windows 11, 25 and 24H2. And the update, which is KB5083631, rolled out to the release preview channel insiders late on Friday last week in my part of the world. And because it's now in its final stages of testing before it rolls out to the stable version of Windows 11, if we head to our calendar, I would suggest that the update will roll out starting next week, Tuesday, in that last week of May 2026. There is a chance we may see it this week, which I don't think so, but definitely next week if we don't get it this week. So expect the next optional update to make general availability in the next couple of days. Now, there's quite a bit going on with this update. There are 12 new features, some of which you may or may not be interested in. And all of the features, fixes, and improvements we're going to mention now are all rolling out gradually. So when it does get released in a couple of days' time, you may or may not see these at the get-go. Now, just to mention the first, which I have posted on previously, I'll leave the video for this linked if you'd like more information, but just a quick mention. There's a new feature for gaming where Xbox mode is now available on Windows 11 PCs, including laptops, desktops, and tablets. Microsoft says, inspired by the Xbox console experience, Xbox mode offers a streamlined full-screen interface that puts your games front and center while minimizing background distractions. You can enter Xbox mode from the Xbox app, game bar settings, or by pressing Win and F11. I'll leave the video linked if you'd like some more information that I posted previously on that. And then for File Explorer, there's quite a bit going on. Microsoft says the first improvement is it improves folder view consistency. So customized settings such as sorting files by name or adjusting icon size now applies across all ways you open a folder. So when you open the same folder from another app, such as a web browser, your preferences persist automatically. This improvement, Microsoft says, is especially helpful in the downloads folder when group by date is turned off. And I actually think that's a nice move in the right direction. Microsoft also says it improves File Explorer's performance on launch, which is good to see and good to hear. It also removes the white flash when launching File Explorer in dark mode. If File Explorer was set to launch to this PC or when resizing the details pane, but still no mention of the white flash when you're opening up tabs, when you are running things in dark mode, but nonetheless still a move in the right direction. And for the preview pane, there's a new feature where Microsoft says this update adds a Preview Anyway button to Preview pane in File Explorer for files downloaded from the internet after viewing warning, which is, I think, is a nice move. And then the update expands the list of archive formats that can be used in File Explorer to include UU, CPIO, XAR, and NuGet packages, which I also think is a nice move. And improves the reliability of relevant Explorer.exe processes stopping after closing File Explorer windows. And Explorer.exe is things like your File Explorer, Start menu, taskbar, and so on. So some nice improvements rolling out for the File Explorer. And then there are 3 new input features. Just going to mention these. You can now feel haptic feedback effects on compatible input devices when performing certain actions such as aligning objects in PowerPoint, snapping or resizing windows. And by the way, I posted a whole video on the haptic feedback just the other day. I'll leave it linked if you'd like some more information. Microsoft says these haptic signals, which by the way means your mouse or your touchpad will vibrate. These haptic signals, Microsoft says, can be turned on or off in settings, Bluetooth and devices, mouse, touchpad, or pen haptic signals. Check the video out for more info. And then there's a new feature for voice typing where voice typing on the touch keyboard now looks simpler and more intuitive. Microsoft says the updated design removes the full screen overlay and shows voice typing animations directly on the dictation key, helping you stay focused without extra visual distractions. And then the update adds a new Arabic 101 legacy keyboard layout, which can be added when selecting a keyboard for an Arabic language. And then if you are using the emoji panel, which can be launched by Windows key and the stop period button, Microsoft says the update improves reliability of keyboard navigation for the emoji panel using Windows key and period as mentioned. And then a couple of new features just to mention. There's a new feature for sharing where the drag tray is now called drop tray. And its settings have moved from nearby sharing to settings, system multitasking. Drop tray, Microsoft says, now uses a smaller peak view, which helps prevent accidental openings and makes it easier to dismiss when you work near the top of the screen. Now, the next new feature is Microsoft says it's introducing agents on the taskbar. Windows is adding a new way to monitor your agents from the taskbar. This experience, Microsoft says, supports agents across first and third-party apps, with Researcher in the Microsoft 365 Copilot app as the first adopter. When Researcher works on a report, Windows shows progress on the taskbar so you can check updates at a glance. Microsoft says you can hover over the Microsoft 365 Copilot icon to see real-time progress. When the report is ready, Windows will notify you. So that's introducing agents on the taskbar. And there's a new enterprise state roaming feature where Microsoft says ESR can now be managed through Windows Backup for Organizations policies. And the update also adds support for a dynamic app removal list to the remove default Microsoft Store packages policy for Windows Enterprise and Education. And there's a new Windows driver policy update where the update improves Windows security by changing how the Windows kernel trusts third-party drivers. Default trust, Microsoft says, for cross-sign drivers is removed, while drivers from the Windows Hardware Compatibility Program, WHCP, and an allow list of trusted legacy drivers remain allowed. And then the last one to mention, there's new enhanced security and performance for batch files, where administrators and application control for business policy authors now have additional control over how the system processes batch files and command prompt scripts. Starting with this release, Microsoft says administrators can enable a more secure processing mode for batch files. So a lot of those new features taking place for enterprise and organizations. And then for the Microsoft Store, Microsoft says this update reduces unexpected errors when downloading and installing apps from the store. In particular, these three errors. And then Microsoft says it's improved third-party driver compatibility with MIDI srv.exe. And then there's improved reliability of loading the system tray area of the taskbar, which I think is a nice move. And then for Windows Hello, there are two improvements where the update improves Windows Hello face reliability and improves persistence of Windows Hello fingerprint across upgrades. And then for storage, the update, if we head into our settings, system, storage, advanced storage settings, disks and volumes. Microsoft says the update improves the performance when navigating to C storage on large volumes on this page. And I actually posted a video on that the other day. And here's one also posted on, where the update increases the size limit for formatting FAT32 volumes via the command line from 32 gigabytes to 2 terabytes, which I did post on the other day, and I do think that's a nice move in the right direction. And then for delivery optimization, which is part of Windows Update, there's an improvement where Microsoft says the update improves memory usage, reducing likelihood it will use an unexpectedly large amount of memory, and that's also a nice move. Nice to see. And then the update improves persistence and availability of color profile options for supported monitors. And then the update improves performance of launching startup apps after boot. And those are apps which display under Settings Apps Startup. And then the last one to mention for the purpose of this video, the update brings underlying changes, Microsoft says, to help improve Explorer.exe reliability, including on login when interacting with taskbar, flyouts, and task view, when unpinning items from File Explorer's quick access, and more. So that's also nice to see. So guys, that's more or less what's going to be rolling out in our next optional update for Windows 11, 25, and 24H2, KB5083631. And that will be over the next coming days. And obviously, when that does roll out to the general public, I'll post and let you guys know. And obviously, this list is subject to change because it is still in preview, although be it very close to stable. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.